Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
There's a picture on our screens. It's recording. There's music there, but you can't hear it in either cases, so we'll estimate the rest.
Pretty long enough.
There we go.
I don't know how. Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Bytes Podcast. I am Ramon Mejia. This is episode number something.
126, and I'm Edgardo Acosta.
126, good job. Every single week on the podcast, we're bringing around the week's best geek and tech news. We discuss that news, of course, anything else that we are interested in that week. And this week, we're talking about mostly San Diego Comic-Con 2017. There's a ton of stuff there. We're going to give it its own little section, so we're going to talk about a bunch of other things that came out that are so cool and geek-related. But before we get into the Comic-Con stuff, we want to definitely touch on these little points, including a Pokemon disaster event, the man who became a flood and fantasy character, the new Harry Potter books, One Piece live action film plans, and of course, San Diego Comic-Con. Before we get into those things, we're going to start with geek news. Some people
I believe it's playing. Alright. You want to start us off, or me, sir?
And there we go. We will start off with me. I'll start off with Pokemon. The first story revolves around Pokemon Go. This was supposed to be their very first live event. It was scheduled for Chicago, and 20,000 people showed up, and it kind of sucked, which is horrible for the attendees. Apparently, there were so many people there, they had congested servers. When the Niantic chief of the company came on, he was booed on the stage. It was absolutely hilarious to watch their videos on the internet that you can catch at the event. But thankfully, at the end of it, Niantic was like, yes, this kind of sucks. To make up for it, we're giving you like $100 worth of free in-game currency. We're giving you people who bought tickets refunds. Anybody who was able to like get through their register system and show that they paid there, they're actually getting a free legendary Pokemon Lugia, which was the whole purpose of the event, that players could gather together and fight off Lugia and capture it. If there were enough people who showed up to the event and worked together as a giant team.
And 20,000 people weren't enough?
They were too much for the servers to actually let anybody log on, apparently, which absolutely is. But it's super expensive. If anybody's ever played an MMO on launch day, they're really used to this kind of behavior, in that the load capacity just exceeds whatever they were expecting, and things just don't work out that well. So this is just a funny experience of like one of those growing pains of augmented reality technology, basically. Like, oh yes, these are they're legitimate tech issues with these kind of live events where people are showing up, and some people actually flew in from like places like Texas, California, hardcore players. I mean, watching like the videos of the event, there's like people streaming everywhere of all age ranges, parents with their kids, old people, young people, groups of like college kids and hipsters, and every make and variety of people apparently were into this game. And I thought, good try, guys, but maybe next time prepare better.
Large gatherings are always kind of a hit and miss. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but they had like this little mini music festival. All these privileged people that paid like $1,000 to stay at that like overnight tent thing. It was hosted by
something super amazing and great, and it blew.
Horribly,
dude. Like I believe the guy who put it together is being sued by just about everybody. Because it was such a horrible event. Like there's no bathrooms for everybody, so people were just like
water,
pooping everywhere.
Food, nothing.
Yeah,
it was just the worst thing ever. But that's the thing. I always don't like big massive group events like that, because honestly, if it's orchestrated very well, then it's fun. Everybody has a great time. But then
that's what the cons are.
But then there's the big clusterfuck, which is literally just too many people,
Yes,
you're just like shoulder to shoulder.
There are negatives and positives. Yes, you can hang out with a group of people that like the things you like, but you're also hanging out with groups of people that
like the things you like, but you don't like them.
Yeah, so those are the other parts. So there you go. Okay, next story, Doctor Who. This one's actually really interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
That's you, man.
All right. Earlier this week, the BBC announced that Jodie Whittaker would be the would be taking over Peter Capaldi as the lead in network's long-running sci-fi show Doctor Who. The 35-year-old actress will become the first ever woman to play the role of the Doctor in Doctor Who. A lot of fans were happy with BBC's decisions to cast Whittaker. Whittaker. The actress herself asked fans not to be scared of my gender. That said, the decision was also met by toxic criticism by those who would rather who could not accept the idea of a female playing the fictional character. There was even a fan petition to change the decision. Most of the objections have emerged in the form of social media posts, memes, tweets, but this week, one English nationally published paper published something that could be seen as its own anti-Whittaker campaign.
Oh no, yeah, this is kind of a dick move on the part of at least this is a tabloid, so it's to be expected. But I'm like, this is their response. Oh, we don't like this new Doctor, so we're going to shoot a bunch of new pictures of her from her other films. It's not anything anybody kind of looked on the internet, but to publish it in your newspaper because as a way of lashing out against an actress in a role that you don't like her being in before you've even seen anything that she's done. I'm like, that's kind of a jerk thing.
It's such a mean girl thing.
Yeah, very much. Like, but the article is written very much by a dude.
Oh yeah, but it's still like, oh my god, you can't believe you're gonna be the Doctor. Oh
yeah.
Well, remember when you did those naked movies?
Yeah.
I'm like, really, you're gonna be that guy?
And Ashley Alico in the chat room says, "Hey, both of you have very nice radio voices. Thank you."
Hey, Ashley, good to see you. But yeah, I obviously am not a big huge Doctor Who fan. Doctor Who fan,
See?
Obviously.
He's calling him Dr. Fu Manchu already, yeah.
But it's been great. The episodes that I had caught, been awesome. The other thing that was kind of like very interesting on that, I don't know, you correct me because obviously you're a fan, you watch it from pretty much day one. Doesn't the Doctor have a kid?
Yeah, he does. He has a. I mean, you're talking like early season. Yeah. I want to say like season 7, like technically, but it's like Doctor 10 or something. Not tech. Well, he has a genetic child, I guess.
Like grown.
Who's a girl. Well, the episode is that in some alien civilization in the future, he and the companions go there to help out, but going through the door, like he's scanned and a genetic sample is taken of him to create a soldier for the war that they're fighting. It's a way of them creating soldiers artificially and like going from like genetic sample to full-grown person. And that's technology. And so technically he has a kid, but it's not one that he consummated. Yeah.
Okay, that was the thing because I saw a little beam thing, whatever, where they showed obviously the Doctor and they showed the girl, and it says like, Dad, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
something that you might know that I don't. All right, Ashley says it's an atomic blonde. Gets the same flashback for the 007 one. See, women, I have personally, I don't know about you, I have no issue when a woman takes quote unquote a man's role.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't care as long as it's good. But some people do. Some people are very much against change.
Yeah.
And so they see anything that they love being changed radically, and to them, gender is a radical change. Apparently, that it threatens them for some reason, or their views.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it makes them uncomfortable when they lash out. Ashley also points out that she would love to see Sense8 another season, and she's looking forward to Mr. Robot. There is actually going to be a Sense8 movie that Netflix is doing to kind of wrap things up.
Awesome.
So that's really nice of them, in that they had a couple seasons. They didn't work out for them as far as like ratings or keeping viewers, but they are making a Sense8 movie to kind of wrap things up. So that's going to be cool.
I haven't seen Mr. Robot actually. It's a series that
I've seen season 1. I haven't seen season 2 because it's it just came out, and and we don't have like regular cable or anything. But Mr. Robot is a very good show. I think you can watch it on Hulu or something. I can't remember. You'll have to check it out.
It was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still there,
but yeah, really good show. It's like really. I mean, it does hacking stuff, but it does it well and accurately. But at the same time, it also makes it very palatable and understandable for everybody else. You're not really sure what's real and what's not with the main character and what he sees, and that's part of the fun. Like it's the same thing with Legion, where in that some of the stuff he was seeing was just in his head and you couldn't really tell what was what. Some of that happens in Mr. Robot too, and that's kind of the fun of like, I'm not sure how crazy this guy is, or if this is real, or there's just like weird stuff that's happening.
Well, Ashley's obviously a diehard. She loves Mr. Robot, so I'm definitely gonna give it a try because I'm this guy. I'm this guy that's late to the band. I'm late to jump on the bandwagon kind of thing.
There's so much content to watch.
Yeah,
it's understandable.
Yeah.
We are going to move on to our next show because we have so much stuff to talk about.
Oh, trust me.
Now this is kind of a fun story too. Armur Rizal Musal, that's the name of the guy. He's 20-year-old entrepreneur in Malaysia. He spent $41,000 US on cosmetic surgery to look like Squall Leonhardt, the hero of Final Fantasy VIII. This is just like one of the most interesting. Like some guys cosplay. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, folks. My fingers. Some guys cosplay, but this guy takes it to a next level. Definitely. He. There were before and after shots for folks at home who are watching. Here's the before shot. There's the after shot. I mean, before, after. I mean, he did everything. He got his skin lightened. He got implants. You could definitely tell he got a chin implant. The nose has changed. His eyebrows, his eyebrow structure, the hair, obviously. And when you compare his face to the main character, I'm like, it does a decent job, I guess. But that's like a fictional animated 3D character, and so getting that kind of surgery is definitely going to make your regular face look kind of different. It's very much like the surgeries that those people got to look like Ken and Barbie. Like you can definitely tell that there
were some people that did
like proportion, like, okay, these characters aren't meant to actually look realistically human. So I'm like, that is a thing, man.
The other one that I know for a fact that spent a ridiculous amount of money to go through that changes is that one person that tried to look like Superman. Another Asian person that got the contacts, got his skin lightened, did the cheek implant kind of thing, got to suck that up.
Yeah.
It just looked like you just look all like weird boy band guys.
And I feel like at some point, the little changes don't impact you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like small changes over time when you compare it to like a year ago when you first started out. Like then there's that huge shift in production, and I'm not sure how the rest of his friends or culture is reacting. Like they may like really love it because that's a real thing in Korean middle and higher class society, in that they're getting tons of plastic surgery as normal cultural acts to look better, especially for young women.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge pressure, and their families like, no, we'll pay for everything. We'll make you look very nice. And it's a very interesting shift in cultural perspective to see how far some people will do just to look like their favorite characters or to look a certain way for appealing. Like maybe this guy has the cash and I'm great. Like everybody makes a free will choice.
Totally.
I don't really care. It's your face.
Like the guy,
but I do think it's interesting.
Like the guy, the other person that tried to look like somebody else is the Justin Bieber guy.
Yeah.
Remember a long time ago they tried Justin Bieber, and I totally agree. When you get older, especially when you have those implants in, everything's gonna get all wrinkly and sad. So unless
And here's responding to Danny Martinez, who says he can't wait to see what he will look like when he gets older. And yeah, that's the thing. I'm not sure if it'll be better or worse. I mean, because you see some women who got plastic surgery early in their life and they're 40s and 50s now, and some things still look really great, and other things look artificial. Like you can tell there's a change there. So I don't think plastic surgery has been around enough for us to get a great gauge of like, these are the long-term effects on your appearance. Good or bad.
There's people that try to fight father time, if you will. Get things pulled back and sucked in, and all that kind of stuff, but. That's I guess the dedication, and of course
it's a thing.
Money.
Yeah, and it's a money and appearance, and there's just these weird cultural shifts. And this is why I kind of get the idea. Like I would love to cosplay as my favorite characters.
Oh yeah, dress up.
So I get that, and this is just kind of a next level of stuff of like, maybe he in love with the character and that look, and it makes him feel better.
Do the makeup.
And is there anything really wrong with it if he's not hurting anybody? No. He's not even hurting himself. I mean, long term, yeah, he looks funny to some people, but if it makes him feel better about himself and there's no psychological effect on him, he's leading a normal life. Heck, why not?
To me, that's $41,000 that could have been very well spent in something else.
And maybe he does. We don't actually know that. We don't know that he hasn't spent $100,000 on charities. You know what I mean? And so we're making a lot of assumptions here. But it is the fact that he chose a particular character, I think, is the news story. But there's also a larger cultural discussion about changing your appearance to seem pretty or ugly to something. You know what I mean?
I've seen the cat face woman. They are existing cybernetic.
Oh no, yeah, I would love. Sorry, we're going to talking to people on the live stream. Danny Martinez says, "Wait till people are gonna want cybernetic implants." That's me, man.
That's existing. That's
I have
happening
no.
right
I
now.
mean, functional surgery, I'm cool with. I mean, I personally, I would do that. Like non-functional cosmetic surgery, I'm like,
Just to
meh.
try to
What absolutely like
nose job, get those cheeks, or
like if I could
those
get
brows.
if I could get like unlimited Wi-Fi access to like terabytes of speed with like an implant on my head, like an antenna, I probably would, or like a brain implant to let me plug into the matrix. I would go for that personally, but I know that that willingness is definitely not the door.
But cybernetic implants, depending on how you view it, they exist. If you consider prosthetics,
Yeah.
come on, because that's obviously not natural. That's not your real arm, and there's all those bonuses.
Yes.
You can even have like a.
Oh no, I saw a great prosthetic implant for like a arm replacement that was themed on video game stuff. Like it was one of those video game looking arms, like black and moving, and I was like, oh, that's pretty badass. And Danny Martinez says, downstairs cybernetic implants, ha 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 ha. That could be a thing too. Why? I mean, there are already those. There are already penile implants that can include like lengthening of body members and shrinkage and
just keeping it up.
Like there's literally like a pump you have to put into it though.
It's like those old Reebok pumps.
Yeah, only.
And you actually like depending, I guess, if you have testicles or not, or one's a release, so it deflates it, and the other one you gotta squeeze and pump, and no. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's
it's the way the world is moving.
It's body modification.
And again, as long as you're not hurting anybody, hopefully. I mean, you might poke someone's eye out at some point, I think, but it's your money, whatever. Yeah. Okay. On to the next story, which is going to be, I think that one's you, right?
All right. I'll talk
Bloomberg.
All right. The publisher Bloomsbury has announced 2 new Harry Potter books will be coming out this year, marking the 20th anniversary of the publication for the first book in the series. To celebrate 20 years since Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published, 2 new books will come out in October to accompany a Harry Potter exhibition at the British Library. The titles are Harry Potter: A History of Magic, and the book of the exhibition, which surveys the subject studied at Howard School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and Harry Potter: A Journey Through the History of Magic, which takes the reader on a historical journey of Harry Potter's world and delves into the stories and behind spells, magical creatures, wizards, and witches. So Harry Potter, man, they're gonna milk it in a positive way for as long as they can. It's gonna be a great thing. Obviously, we got family members that are going to be all about it, all wanted to check it out. It's going to be fun. I kind of want to take this. Was it made by Warner Brothers? I'm trying to think who did the movies. It's been a long time.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember they had an exhibition of the costumes and such, where you actually could sit down and they put the sorcerer's sorting hat on your head. Mm-hmm. So they'll tell you like, blah blah blah. You should go to Gryffindor or what have you. I think they do that at the theme parks too. The sorcerer's hat.
Oh yeah, the sorting hat.
Yeah,
the sorting hat. Yeah. No, but this is kind of cool. I like the fact that the new stories. They're not really new stories in Harry Potter. They're more like expansions on the world. I think the first new stories we're actually really going to get are going to be when they do they've already done the play version of The Cursed Child, which is Harry Potter's kid going to Hogwarts, and which is now currently a play in London. They're bringing it into the Americas soon.
It's going to be a movie,
but they already have the script out as something you can purchase. So that is probably the closest thing we're getting to like full on stories. These are more like informational things, but they're still cool. Now the Ashley just demands that we look at the Korean show Goblin. It looks cool. I mean, the folks who are watching this, the recorded and edited version, they can see some of the pictures here. It looks very Korean drama-y. It's not a genre that I particularly watched. I mean, just looking at the pictures, it looks very normal. But when you read this synopsis, it's one of the characters is a goblin and protector of souls. He lives with an amnesiac Grim Reaper who takes control or takes charge of deceased souls, and there's a bunch of other stuff. So it looks like it's also a supernatural aspect to it. I'm not super into Korean dramas. I don't know where I can find this, but it may be something to look up later. But cool things are on the internet. Ashley also asked, is the Valerian movie on your list of things to watch? It's actually out now, so you can watch it in theaters. I am wary of watching until I get a few reviews from the weekend, which is that the this movie is being overshadowed by Comic-Con entirely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sad to
this
say,
is a bad production. I mean, this is very poorly decisioned release date, to be honest.
Maybe they'll for future movies they'll think
Yeah.
about when Comic Con's coming out. Let's not put our movie out.
No,
today.
this is a bad idea. Like, it would have been better to maybe do something at Comic Con and release it next weekend or something.
Yes.
That would have been a better show. But they put a lot of money into advertising, like a ton of money, showing off a lot of great scenes, and that to me is a bad sign. In that you have to do so much advertising for a film. It kind of shows that maybe it can't stand up on its own. I had the same feeling for The Mummy, and it turns out my feelings were right in that it didn't get great reviews or it didn't make good box office money. But if I happen to have $10 extra, I might go watch it. So there you go. I do like the comic version. The comic version is great. I'm talking about the movie version. Movie version, meh. So there you go. Okay, on to our next story, which is going to be... Oh, Stanley, yeah, this is a fun one. Stanley got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame outside of TCL, Chinese Theater. I mean, I call it Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Grauman's Chinese, I think
I know.
is the brand or whoever.
I think somebody bought it or something.
Yeah.
Redid it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's always going to be Grauman's Chinese Theater to me.
Yeah.
So Stanley got a nice star outside there. He put his... Or where'd he get it at then?
No, he got handprints.
Handprints, sorry.
He didn't get a star.
Handprints, stars. It's the same thing in my opinion. But it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know where exactly it's going to be its final resting spot, but it's going to be amazing. I saw the live feed that Kevin Smith put on there.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane was there also recording it. It was kind of especially right now because since it's going to get a little sad. Since his wife passed, anything that he does, any special appearance or whatever, he's bringing her up, which is like I can't. He's in mourning right now, so I can't.
It's been very soon since his wife died. I mean, I'm surprised he's leaving his house.
Oh yeah, but he's being strong as much as possible, man. Because like, dude's in his 90s, and honestly, we gotta love him and cherish him for as long as we got him. Because honestly, heaven forbid, whenever he goes, he's gonna go, hopefully peacefully. But it was kind of funny because since he's like he's literally a very light, thin old man.
No, he is. Yeah,
like frail.
He's always apparently for covering Kenneth Smith, who's known him for years and years. He's always been that way as long as he's known him. Like real clumsy, like falling downstairs. Like he has handlers apparently who like try to navigate him past deadly obstacles.
Exactly. He's not exactly Mr. Magoo, but he'll like topple over. Really
at some point, I'm afraid like he's gonna fall and like break something seriously, and like nobody's gonna be there anymore to like. They're nurse him back to health.
They're gonna put him in one of those walker things, but like for babies. And then he's just gonna like
pat him around. So yeah,
see y'all. That kind of deal. But I'm glad he's giving the recognition that he's getting right now. I'm hoping he does get a star.
Because he I mean, in the era of comic book movies, he's the man who helped start it all off and writing so many of the great stories for Marvel that have become these franchises. And so I'm glad that. Hollywood's recognizing his contributions at least, and of course put him as many cameos as possible. So I'm happy to see that. And now answering Ashley's question, sorry, what are you guys reading these days, comic book wise, when you get a chance? I'm not reading a ton of comics anymore. I like reading full-on novels. I'll pick up an occasional like omnibus of something. I haven't read anything in a really long time though, because I've been getting into a genre of fiction called Little RPG, which combines like video game stories, or video games and stories, fictional stories. Even wrote a couple myself. And so it's a burgeoning genre that's been taking up all my reading time, like 6 or 7 novels a week. But that's what I've been reading. Anything you've been reading as far as that comic book stuff?
At least comic book wise, I kind of got a little bit turned off ever since they went multiverses and reboots and stuff like that.
What do you mean? They've been that the entire time.
Well,
It's everyone's experience that the genre they start, like the time frame they start or the universe they start reading comics in, feels like the universe they should stick to. But the entire span of the comic book writing history, they've switched universes, killed universes, started new ones. And that's just the way the comic book universe works because publishers have to keep interest.
I'm this guy now. I'm like, put out a movie, put out a cartoon, I'll watch that.
Yes, you want continuity. And that if you're asking for continuity over the entire, time span of all comic books, that is never going to happen. I mean, when you think of the DC explanation of the multiverse, like Earth 798, it feels like there's literally that many universes.
Yeah.
From our point of view for comic books. So
Exactly.
there you go. Ashley also asked, what about graphic novels? Graphic novels, I'm a little more likely to read. Haven't read anything in a while, unless it's lit RPG related, where there's like game mechanics in your story. That's just my personal experience. But I have read some graphic novels on the internet that do have to do with lit RPG. I like The Gamer, which is a webcomic from Korea that I really enjoyed. There's some other ones, but I can't think on the top of my head. But again, mostly lit RPG related for myself. So there you go. Next story, though. Oh, this one's kind of cool, too. This is really quick. NBC canceled a show called Timeless. Everyone was very sad about it. The fans railed against it on the internet and Twitter. And at Comic-Con, they reversed their decision. NBC basically told the producer saying that we made a mistake. We're going to renew your show after all. So there you go. Happy ending.
Power to the people on that kind
yeah,
of thing.
very much so. That the fans have saved many a show because of their support. You think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Almost every single season, it comes down for the chopping block for them, and the fans always come through and save them as well. I mean,
some shows have been brought back from the dead, like
Supernatural, Futurama, multiple times been dropped off. Same thing with Family Guy. They've been canceled and brought back later because of fan support. So there you go.
As long as there's a following, and plus if there's a way for money to be made.
Yeah, so which is always important. Yeah,
they'll do it.
And it's not like there are plenty of crap shows. So when you get a good one and there's fan support, why not? I think part of the issue is that movie or television show executives can't see all the fandom. Yeah. Like all they really see are Nielsen numbers, which is a very small segment of viewing population. People who watch it live on television, and more that's going away. More people watching it streaming on the internet. More people are downloading it or pirating it or whatever, and those things can't be tracked as readily by these executives. So it's hard for them to see hardcore fandom unless like a huge thing like this happens where there's a massive Twitter campaign and hundreds of thousands of individuals are telling them, we like this show, please bring it back. And I think that's part of the problem as well. So there you go. On to our next story, which is going to be One Piece. You want to read this one? Do you remember who One Piece is?
Oh, I've seen it, but I'm honestly not a huge fan, but I'm going to go through it.
Let's see. Thanks.
Once the current season of One Piece wraps up, the long-running and immensely popular anime will have aired a whopping 800 episodes. The manga has also been turned into a bunch of films, and the 13th and most recent of which being last year's One Piece film, Gold. And now the series is finally to get its very first live-action TV show via the comic book, of course. Series creator Ichiro Oda has confirmed the news, informing that fans that the adaptation is going to be an American production handled by Tomorrow Studios, best known for Prison Break. So a live-action One Piece. So limbs stretching.
Yeah, that seems very interesting, especially for a television production company. How they're going to, because this is a mind-bending animation show where there's a ton of weird powers, and it's like superpowers on steroids. That's how weird it is. I mean, there's a cyborg. There's a guy with the rubber arms and bones. A skeleton who plays the violin, who's also a swordsman. I mean, girls with huge boobs everywhere. I'm not sure how they're going to go with that. So it just from a production standpoint, it seems very challenging, but it's going to come out because there's money there. And so I will absolutely watch it. I like One Piece. I'm not up to date on it. I fall in and out of love with it because it's very much like a Naruto issue. Like sometimes there's a ton of filler between like the combat scenes and I get bored. And then I just drop out. It's okay. You can pick it back up later. It's one of those series like, oh, you can watch it for a year, drop out for like 6 months, and you have, 70, 80 new episodes, and, maybe half of them are good. Another half are like blah. But it's still very entertaining, at least.
It's going to be so obscure, I have to watch it because I want to see what they're going to pull off. Because my main thing is the little chibi style kind of character, mascotish thing. I want to see what that's going to be all about if they do go live.
And One Piece is also manga, so actually you can go watch it or read it there as well if you want to get a graphic novel version of it. But super long, been on for years. It's one of those like never-ending comic manga series from another country. that's been a known anime, and it's going on for forever, just like Naruto did for a very long time, or Bleach. So that kind of stuff. But like I said, it's very interesting that American production companies are taking these licenses, these intellectual properties, and making them live action versions. I just saw a version of oh god, what is it called? It's we have Death Note coming out. That's one from that Netflix picked up. That was originally a manga, then anime, and then now live action version for American audiences. There was also Tokyo Ghoul, which is a really cool anime, but again, also a graphic novel from Japan that was translated, popularized in anime form, and then turned into a live action version, which kind of sucks. Same thing with Attack on Titan. That was also turned into a live action version in, I think, Japanese or Korean. I only saw parts of it. Wasn't a fan. But again, these are the issues of changing from just this outrageous anime stuff that could happen to live action stuff, which is a lot harder, especially with when you don't have a great CGI budget. You know?
So that's the other issue that she kind of brought up. Do you think they're going to Ghost in the Shell it?
Whitewash
it? They're going to go round eye?
I don't know that any of these characters are... Because this story takes place in an entirely different world, universe.
Doesn't have to be...
I don't know that they have to be a particular ethnicity. I don't think any of the characters are... I mean, like, people who love it from that country, are, in their minds, they think of them as that ethnicity. But there's a ton of variety of hair colors. There's no particular ethnic style to any of the characters necessarily. They're all very cartoony.
Oh yeah.
You know, so there's no one like ethnic style in there necessarily. So I don't have an issue with like a variety of different ethnicities. I actually prefer a nice mixed group of people that way everybody can see a little bit of themselves in the production and enjoy a little bit from that respect. Because it's always harder. It's always easier to enjoy something when you can see yourself in it, or you can connect to it on some level. So when you see your ethnicity or your skin color, people tend to enjoy it more. You know?
There's at least two animes that I would like to see go live action, just because they're the most random that I could think of. Would be like Fooly Cooly and Bo 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 Bo.
I'm not sure what that second one is, honestly. I don't know that unless you show me a picture, I couldn't tell you it off the top of my head. I know Fooly Cooly. They're getting a second and third season from Adult Swim. We'll wait on that. But I don't know what that next one is. It's
about this... I can't tell you he's a white guy or anything like that, but he has a large... yellow/orange afro, and his like mustache does a lot of tricks and whatnot. It's so random. It's so random. You'd be like, what the hell?
Bo 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 bo.
Yeah, it's literally B-O, not boo boo.
I don't know. From what you tell me.
Yeah, it came on Adult Swim a while back. It was just a bunch of randomness. Oh, there he is. See?
Oh no, that guy. Yeah, that was. I think I remember seeing it briefly.
Yeah, it's just so obscure, but it was just like, okay,
yeah, there you go. So that's a thing. Folks, you want to look at that image on
the internets.
On the internets, feel free to go check it out.
All right.
So I think you got the next story.
I just read the previous one, sir. If you want to talk about Mr. Rogers.
Hold on, I'm gonna show the people in the live feed that guy. So there you
go. Bo. Yeah. That was the thing.
That's a thing for live. Okay. On to Avengers. Yeah, this is kind of cool. This is really simple. There's a rumor going around the internet that Steve Rogers in the next Avengers Infinity War is not going to be Captain America. Instead, it's guessed that he's taking the suit, the mantle of Nomad, a man without a country. Because remember, I believe he left the Shield at the end of Captain America: Civil War.
Did he?
I think he did. Like he left it with Iron Man, if I'm mistaken. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. But the idea is that America doesn't want Captain America necessarily, or Captain America persona doesn't necessarily fit the modern age, and so Steve Rogers is technically on the lam from the government at this point in the Marvel universe. Like he's not, persona non grata with the new worldwide requirements for powered people to register their powers and work for the various governments. And so the Comic-Con poster that came out kind of gives credence to that particular rumor, because in it, Steve Rogers has the full-on beard, beard mustache. He's not wearing the Captain American uniform. Well, he's wearing it, but it's blacked out. And if you look closely, you can see the star on his chest. So, but it's all in black. He's wearing like a military kind of gear holster stuff. And he's up front. You see like a silver-haired Black Widow as well, or a Platinum Melon, I guess you could call it. But it kind of gives credence that he may be putting down the Captain America mantle, maybe passing on to somebody else taking up. But that would be his role in this. I mean, he's the same guy, but maybe he decided maybe I can't. He can't be Captain America anymore. So that is the story.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I'd be totally interested to see what route they're going to go. But I'm going to the next one.
So there we go. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, that way we could get to some Comic-Con talk. There's another rumor, of course, of Michael Mando to reprise his character as Mac Gargan, the Scorpion, in the Silver and Black, and making it officially set into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, if you saw Spider-Man: Homecoming, Mac Gargan does Scorpion, was there, but he just wasn't in costume. He did have the sign, because obviously if you know the name, you hear the name, and he did have a scorpion tattoo on his neck. Spoilers, if you saw the post credits, he meets up the Vulture and says like, "Oh, you're gonna go take care of, like, you know."
Did you know who Spider-Man is?
Yeah. Exactly. Like if you thought I knew who Spider-Man was, wouldn't I have taken care of it?
Yeah.
So it's gonna leave it out there. My thing is,
he's kind of small for the Scorpion, in my opinion.
The size, but
that might be part of his transformation. He gets bigger, he becomes crazier, he gets the suit.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what kind of suit they're going to apply to him, because obviously it's kind of almost a head to toe full costume with the main part.
In the comics, in the comics, it's definitely head to toe.
The whole main thing of it is having that semi-animatronic tail. So it makes me wonder how they're going to apply that to like a costume wise.
Yeah, whether they're going to go like Green Goblin it and like look at like
weird cyber
tech thing. Yeah, that's something they're gonna have to decide. I mean, we're talking about a movie that this hasn't even started production yet. There's no script for it, so we're gonna have to wait and see. So there you go.
Yeah, I want to check it out because I actually liked Scorpion. Plus, I'm a fan of Scorpions.
Yeah, it's a cool character. I'm like, he's kind of a second or third tier character in the Spider-Man verse. Mm-hmm. So I'm not super excited about it, but he has been fun. He's a fun like minion to beat up.
Yeah, like,
you know what
honestly,
I mean? Before you get to the boss.
I thought they were going to go a better route with the Shocker in Homecoming, but
I'm okay with the way they did it.
Giving him like,
because it's supposed to be his origin story. It's like, oh, I get this machine, and there you go. But again, even the Shocker is not like big time. He's definitely second tier as far as Spider-Man characters go. Your big supervillains, I mean, even the Vulture, they made him better than he was in the comics. Definitely, much more relatable, much more interesting. But the Kingpin is always going to be top tier Spider-Man villain, as is Venom, as is the Green Goblin. Those are always going to be the ones, and we've seen some of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're ever going to show the Kingpin, but I think it would be a very interesting urban struggle.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. Mm-hmm. And Ashley asks, are there going to be more episodes of Samurai Jack, which is one of her favorite animation cartoons? Like,
I hope so. It was great.
They did this last season on Cartoon Network. I believe you can see them all on the internet.
Yeah, they brought it
at
back.
this point. I don't know that they have plans to do it, because did they finish up his storyline? I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either, so I don't know.
There you go. We don't know
if they wrapped it up or if they're going to try to bring it back.
I saw an episode. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then I got distracted by little RPG books and anime. Other anime shows. So there you go. Okay, next story. Again, real brief. We haven't even got to the Comic-Con stuff yet. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been attached to the Shazam movie for a while. But it has been revealed that he's not actually going to appear in the upcoming Shazam film. Now, this kind of makes sense to me. He's still going to be a part of the independent, standalone Black Adam film, but he's not going to be the villain in Shazam. Or at least not the first one. That's what I'm thinking. Basically, this is my hypothesis, my rumor, my thinking is that independent Shazam movie shows Billy Batson getting his powers. He gets some villain. Maybe the wizard that made him. I don't know. He does his own independent film. Black Adam movie comes out standalone, and then they do the crossover where he's the villain in Shazam 2 or whatever.
It's so weird for a Black Adam standalone movie.
Oh, why not? It's a villain movie. I mean, you had Suicide Squad. You're going to have all your Harley Quinn movies. You're going to have your Joker films, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, villain. I mean, they're going to do a Venom film, which is like hardcore R rating, and so. It makes sense for The Rock. I mean, they might not portray him as a hardcore villain. Yeah. They may hopefully give him redeeming qualities, where he's an anti-hero maybe. I don't know. But it can make sense as a role for The Rock, and that he's done villainous roles before. You know, so as a character actor, I mean, it's basically a vehicle for The Rock to get him into the Marvel universe or into the DC universe, I should say, into the superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's all it really is.
More
so, you know, whatever.
I don't know how anybody can not like The Rock, so he's gonna make it happen. I just can't wait to see what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do with him, especially the costume.
Yes,
it's weird seeing with that black.
I think they're gonna give him pointy ears. Yeah. Well, they might go with the a mind wiped villain. Comes to Earth as a hero, you know, as the amnesiac, and that's how they give him the redemptive qualities. Like, he doesn't know, exactly. And he can, you know, maybe they'll like Iron. Was it? There's the Iron Superman one.
Steel. Yeah,
Steel. That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Who knows? We were speculating out of our ears, guys. Let's see. Also, okay, next story.
Right. It looks like Universal's struggling Dark Universe is hoping to reel in 21 Jump Street and Magic Mike star Channing Tatum for its upcoming Van Helsing reboot. The Dark Universe started off with a sad spurt after Tom Cruise's The Mummy suffered heavily criticism and poor box office results earlier this year, and now Universal is planning a Van Helsing movie with Tatum as its lead star. It seems like the studio is hoping a little more star power can help turn the tide around, and according to The Hollywood Reporter, the studio is working on a script built especially for Tatum. So do you think he's going to dance? A lot of bare-chested action?
Channing Tatum is definitely
some R&B tunes.
He's definitely the star of the. He's Hollywood star, darling right now. I don't know that he's an amazing actor. He's not. He's definitely funny. He's good looking. I think he has acting potential. I haven't seen him do like very many serious roles, mostly goofy stuff. But you know, whatever. Well, but Van Helsing, I think the last Van Helsing was Hugh Jackman, right?
Oh yeah, and I loved it.
It was okay. Like, it's fine.
I like because it was random.
But it very much was of the like dark gothic, but at the same time trying to be entertaining and funny and occasionally goofy. Yeah. Like they didn't really commit to it in one way or the other. So Van Helsing to me is a very tricky property because it toes the line between murderer and hero.
Yeah,
Van Helsing is a Dracula killer. He's a vampire killer, right? Mm-hmm. So that's very dark. But at the same point, he's supposed to protect people, and that's not necessarily part of the mythos, because it was written during a time of where there aren't heroes as much as people who kill villains, who kill bad guys. You know what I mean?
Think of him as the first male Buffy.
Sort of, except that without the campy humor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's part of it. That he doesn't have that part Buffiness to draw off on. Yeah. My thing Danny Martinez asked who will be Shazam's alter ego. We don't have any casting news for Shazam besides that The Rock is not inside of it. I don't think they haven't cast the kid. They haven't cast the adult Shazam. Yeah. They haven't cast. I'm not even sure if they have a script yet, but it's on the slate apparently for DC. But I don't know if they've done much with it. I think there have been issues.
So would you consider it child abuse if when the kid turns into Shazam and Shazam's getting his ass kicked?
If it's child abuse, I don't know. That's a very good question. Because he is an adult body there. Maybe mentally child abuse. I don't know.
Mentally, never mind.
But it's also a choice on his part, and I mean, culturally, childhood is variable. Yeah. You know, in older cultures, childhood and as soon as your balls dropped, or even before that, like in 6 or 7 years old. In some cultures, they're considered adults and kicked out of the house. Go find your own family. So childhood is variable, and this may be one of those instances where it's questionable.
Yeah, but real quick with Channing Tatum, whatever happened to the damn Gambit movie, man?
Oh no, that's also on.
Oh,
he's still attached to it. Directors have been bailing on it left and right.
Give it somebody else.
And I think who was the director? There was a director who was attached to. I think it was Flash, who left. And who was really attached to Gambit, dropped Gambit for Flash, got kicked out of Flash, and is going back to Gambit potentially. So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of that issues. Yeah,
just put it out.
Tons of stuff there. Okay, next story. We got a couple more before we get to Comic-Con stuff. Todd McFarlane revealed this week that he is not only going to be writing the script, he's also going to be directing the new movie for Spawn. So yay, good job. The company Blumhouse is making the film, so it's not with the older company that made the original Spawn. Thankfully, I'm glad that Tom McFarlane has the rights back to it, and hopefully we can see the gritty R-rated Spawn we've all always wanted.
It's his creation, his vision. Hopefully he carries it well, because Spawn's always been a very awesome character. But if you saw the movie/animated versions, didn't really.
The animated version is decent to me. Like it got more a lot of dog because it was on HBO, and so they could do hardcore nudity, sex, violence, like tons of bloods and guts and demons and everything. But the live action version again tamed down because that's the world that existed then. We're superheroes, we're good guys, and it was PG at the worst. And so now that we've entered an age where rated R superhero films are acceptable and even profitable, Deadpool, Logan. Well, I'm not sure, was Logan rated R? I can't remember. I think so. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yes. He cut off people's heads, so it probably was. Then we can now have Spawn, we can have Venom, and they can be totally gory, and people know that it's the adults that are going, and so they can satisfy them.
Yeah, you're just that fucked up adult if you take your little kid to go watch a movie like that.
You are making definite parent choices.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I won't judge until your kid grows up to be a mass murderer. Okay, on to some sad news. Last story before we get to Comic-Con stuff. John Hurd, the actor from Home Alone and other classic 80s and 90s films, died this Friday in Palo Alto, California. He was 72 years old, so we're all sad. So it's... I mean, what else can you say?
Honestly, I heard the name. I'm like, he looked familiar. Who is it? Then I had to, go check his IMDb. Yeah, this is the dad from Home Alone. I know he's done other stuff before. He's been in other TV shows and whatever, but he always was the dad. The dad. He always has that father look. I'm surprised he didn't take over the like Seventh Heaven role of that one dude. But which better condolences to his family and all that. But he didn't really. I'm sorry. Other than just being the dad from Home Alone, didn't really have that one career.
He's always like side roles. He's never like a huge
main character,
leading man kind of role. At least in the stuff that I remember from. I know he's worked most of his adult life as a working actor, so he has a huge resume of things that he's done. But that's the one he's always going to remember the most for, because that was the most popular film I think he's ever done. So there you go. So sorry, Kevin's dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, on to Comic-Con.
Yeah, finally, let's do it. Let's geek out full blast. And there's so much stuff.
We're going to save the trailers to the very end, because there's a whole 16 practically that we're going to go with our trailers that we can pick our favorite of the entire con. But we'll talk about most of them. But we're going to be with some news of Darkwing Duck returning. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you have to have remembered Darkwing Duck from the DuckTales television show, which is a Disney production. And apparently they're bringing back Darkwing Duck in that particular series because it came back they remade DuckTales, and they're going to include Darkwing Duck and Gizmo.
Yeah, Gizmo Duck. It's pretty much if I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, everything's right, they're bringing back Disney Afternoon. So hopefully they bring back Rescue Rangers, would be amazing. DuckTales was always really good. They even done well. That even spun out of movies. And of course, they did a spin-off with Darkwing Duck. They introduced a whole Gizmo Duck. Yeah. They've been crossovers back and forth on it. It was pretty much Disney's equivalent to a superhero flick, like their version of Marvel stuff. Yeah. Or DC stuff.
Yeah, and Gizmo Duck was Iron Man, Darkwing Duck was Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was just, their version.
Kid-friendly versions, which I loved as a kid.
It was campy, but it was entertaining. Can't wait to see what they go, how far they're going to go down the Disney rabbit hole, if you will, of
it was interesting to see little squirrels rescuing people.
Chipmunks.
Yeah, chipmunks. Well, yeah, you're right. The chipmunks. You're right.
So I can't wait. If they could bring that back, I would love any. Did you ever watch Disney Afternoon stuff?
Yeah, when we had cable sometimes. Yeah, so I've seen most of the shows. I've seen Tailspins, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, all those animated shorts from the Disney library. So,
honestly, I think you would probably be a big fan of. Oh, I love gargoyles, but I think you would actually like gummy bears.
I've seen them both. Yeah. I've seen both. I mean, when I was a kid and I would have nightmares, watching a horror movie or whatever, I would get myself back to sleep by replaying Gummy Bears cartoons in my head.
The theme song.
And thinking, Gummy Bears. Oh, God. Mountain on repair. We are the Gummy Bears.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm glad they're bringing that back. Hopefully they bring back.
They are probably better in our memories than they are in real life.
Oh, dude.
I mean, the storylines.
Okay, if they went live action, that'd be a whole different story.
I mean, storylines. I doubt that they're amazing. They're children's cartoons, but as you're a kid, that's stuff that you love. You know. Okay. Next story: Harley Quinn. At the Warner Brothers panel this week, Comic-Con, it was revealed that Margot Robbie is not only getting 2 new films, they're also making a 3rd Harley Quinn film. This one with her and the Joker. It's going to be Harley Quinn versus the Joker. So it's a very interesting twist. They already have 2 films for her. One is going to be Suicide Squad 2. The second one is going to be the Gotham City Sirens, yep, which is supposed to be her, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman.
Hopefully Batgirl. Because there's the Batgirl movie that's supposed to be in the works, but there's no dates.
I don't think of her as one of the Sirens because 3 villains.
Well, no,
I mean, it could be versus Batgirl. I would be cool with that. Mm-hmm. Like, that would totally fit with the theme of girl power kind of stuff. But then there's also going to be a 3rd film that's in, we're going to start writing scripts, that kind of stuff. Harley Quinn versus the Joker. So it might be, I'm not sure if it's going to be temptation, redemption story for whatever, like her getting back at her abusive boyfriend, which was supposed to be a bigger theme in the Suicide Squad, like her being abused and showing like that particular storyline for the comics.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully they go that route because I think it would be amazing.
I think it's very interesting. She's definitely a Hollywood darling right now as well, like that character Harley Quinn specifically. So there you go. Okay, another comic book news from Comic-Con. We have news that there is going to be a Doctor Doom movie. That's right. Apparently, it's going to be produced by Noah Hawley, Emmy award-winning showrunner for Fargo. He was on the Legion panel for that movie, for that television Marvel FX television show, which is amazing, by the way. He said that he is developing a film for Fox, and it's supposed to be for Doctor Doom. So there you go. So a Doctor Doom villain movie. So there you go.
So both yays and nays for that, which means Fox still has Fantastic Four rights.
They were never going to get rid of it, man. I know as much as we both would love for it to revert to Marvel, it's too much potential value.
Do the Sony thing and just work out a deal.
Like they have to make a crappy Fantastic Four film every 5 or 6 years. Otherwise, they lose the rights, and as long as they do that, then they can continue keeping the license. But that is part of it.
If you're going to be that stingy about it, just work out a deal like what Sony did. Just break down.
It would be more beneficial for them, I think, to get a cut of a successful franchise.
Exactly.
Than
lose out a whole lot of money on a piece of crap.
Hypothetically, though, it could be profitable for them if they're taking it as a loss, like a multi-million-dollar loss on their taxes. That could be the other way that they're trying to play that.
Like the producers.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that musical?
Yeah, kind of
number.
Okay, and in other Legion news, this is actually, again, pretty cool. Mm-hmm. You can hit that one.
All right, let's see if I'm reading this right. Yes, I am. All right. Joining the unexpectedly was a new cast member, Wonder Woman's Saeed Tagmui.
Yep, Saeed.
Tajmui. Is joining the show as the much-discussed villain, Amal Farouk. The Shadow King, the powerful mutant, showed up previously in a form of Aubrey Plaza,
yeah.
and the devil with the yellow eyes. So I always liked the Shadow Man.
Shadow King, yeah. Shadow King was a very interesting character. He's appeared in several comics, including comics. He's mostly been an X-Men villain. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good pull because he seems underrated to me. Like he took Rogue, he took Storm, he warped their minds to be villains temporarily. So he has a lot of potential there in the Shadow Realm verse. Yeah. And I think this is a really cool play in showing some of the originality that can come out of these comic to television scripts. It could have been super campy, but they turned Legion into an amazing artistic, practically film. And I truly can't recommend enough. Like, it's amazing, but it's also quirky and it's also weird. In all the right ways. So I like the fact they also use Shadow because it plays into the kind of psychopathy of a man who's not sure what's real. Mm-hmm. So it's cool, but I do think it's a little on the nose for like a villain, like the Arabic villain guy, yay.
That was a thing that especially in video games, they apparently all the villains seem to have darker skin.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I like the Aubrey Plaza version of it. Like, oh, you weren't sure if she was the villain at the end or the beginning. And when they did the twist, we were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's a great role for her in that it allows her to be the bad guy instead of just the quirky, foul-mouthed psychic character, you know? But there you go. So that's a bit of news. Also from Comic-Con, we learned that the new Flash movie, which I think is still looking for a director, is going to be titled Flashpoint. So they're going to do the Flashpoint series version of that particular movie where Barry Allen goes back in time to save his mom, but changes time and loses his flash powers. So there you go.
Really? You're gonna go straight out through the movie of that?
Well, that's probably the most famous Flash storyline, and so why not use the good one at the beginning, and then you can do original things instead of doing the same crappy origin story, which is essentially like a 5-minute cut. You know,
true.
His origin story isn't that amazing. It's chemical lab accident with lightning.
Exactly.
You know, he doesn't have like a tragic history like Batman or anything or Superman. Yeah. You know, give him the good storyline where he has tragedy, yes, but this is the way he solves it, and this is the way he deals with his issues. So this is probably the most interesting storyline. That's the best known, I should say.
I'm only not digging it. Reason being, because especially if you're going to do alternative universes, like especially with like Flashpoint, you've had to have at least base characters that he's going to go like revisit and whatnot. And for those people that don't have no idea who they are,
it's going to be Justice League first, and so you're going to have these characters that have been established. Flashpoint. Some people hypothesize that that's how they're going to get rid of Ben Affleck as Batman, is by doing a Flashpoint, and then when he returns to the regular Flashverse, it's a different Batman. And it's like, oh, these are going to be changes. I mean, they've recently done the storyline for the Flash television series, which is where they might be getting their inspiration from. Like, oh, that worked for that TV Flash. We're going to sell that for a movie Flash and see if it works just as well. Yeah. We may or may not. But the Flash actor has definitely been quirky and funny, which is at least a positive note in favor of the movie Flash.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a shot and everything. We'll talk about it a little later. Saw the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's cool.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Also, in Comic-Con news,
Marvel TV head Jeff Loeb announced at Comic-Con today that Iron Fist has been renewed by Netflix for a second season. He also hinted that Colin Wing would team up with the NYPD detective Misty Knight, who made her big debut in the first season of Luke Cage. Those two characters team up in the comic book, so it makes sense to see them team up in the Netflix series.
So there you go.
Hopefully it goes a better route. They improve of what
season one was. The entire the entire Iron Fist series felt rushed. Like they should have given this guy like 2 years to practice his moves and really made them flow and feel natural.
Yeah.
Instead of his awkward
very
action moves.
Yeah,
I mean,
it could have just been edited better.
If it's going to be a martial arts film, martial arts series, which is basically what it is supposed to be, we expect the martial arts stuff to look good. We have very high expectations these days of good martial arts things.
Like Tom Holland, honestly, you can't tell if it's Tom Holland in the Spider-Man costume, but you've seen his training. He can actually flip and kick and
he did some real kick-ass stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy just did not. I mean, he had the look down, yes, which is rich white guy. Not that hard of a look to get. It's just that his martial arts stuff was not on par with what we're expecting, especially if you watch martial arts films aren't your entire life like we have. I was expecting some Ip Man style choreography from this thing.
A good one, you'll see the legit actor do an awesome spin kick.
Yeah.
If he's gonna be that bad, they could have just edited it where they did like close-ups of his like chest or the back of the head, and
had like real people.
Even though it's like an Asian guy with the blonde wig, it'd be something.
I would have preferred that, honestly.
Yeah, instead of what they showed, but. Yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully lessons are learned.
Yep. Also, in comic news, we're moving on to Captain Marvel. Some details about Captain Marvel's with Carol Danvers movie have been revealed at Comic-Con. It's going to be set in the 90s, which is a era that I don't think anybody expected. Like, we've had stuff from the 70s, from the 80s, and now, but nothing in the 90s necessarily. But that's where the Captain Marvel movie is going to be taking place. And it's also going to have a very young Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury, with both eyes. And she's apparently going to be fighting Skrulls. So, which is a lot of plot detail. It very much has that Secret War kind of vibe to it, where key figures in the United States and the world have been replaced with Skrull agents. And I'm curious to see how they're going to try to change kind of retcon the Marvel universe as to where she appears in, because she's never mentioned anywhere else, obviously in any other movies prior to this one. So I'm curious to think like how they're gonna, maybe they're gonna make a part of the Secret Shield universe, all that stuff they did. I don't know, but I'm excited to see it.
I'm glad they did show her. There was a teaser one where she like dons the costume, if you will.
Yeah.
The one thing that you just saw me kind of like thought about right now. I'm glad they got the scrolls because I thought that was part of the
Fantastic Four? No, they've existed outside of that. So maybe they negotiated with it. Who knows? Because they are villains.
Yeah.
And Fantastic Four is never going to use them.
Yeah.
I mean, the scrolls. There's like a scroll character that maybe they can't use. But as far as like they've existed outside of that though.
Yeah. So way to go, man! It's
Yep.
gonna be awesome. I'm gonna definitely check it out. Hopefully,
I don't think that was definitely a license negotiation thing though.
Like who gets the bad?
Yes. Okay.
All right, so that's going to be awesome. Another great news is Michelle Pfeiffer is returning to the world of superheroes because the Ant-Man sequel just got a second Wasp in the form of the original hero herself.
Yes.
Pfeiffer's casting as Janet, the original Wasp, and mother to Hope Van Dyne in the movieverse. Coming to the conclusion of a goofy retrospect video of the Marvel Cinematic Universe alongside a confirmation of several and major roles in the movie, which has begun filming. Addition announced roles include Lauren Fishburne as Dr. Bill Foster, aka Giant Man, Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, Randall Park as Agent Jimmy Woo, and Walton Goggins as Sonny Birch.
So there you go. I don't know who most of those characters are. I know Michelle Pfeiffer as the Wasp, and that's it. So there you go. I haven't seen much from her in a decade or more.
Other than being not the original Catwoman, but at least the cinematic version of
she's she's kind of the cinematic version that most people think about.
She was, other than Dangerous Minds, I can't really think of the last thing she was in.
She's done movies where she's leads, but I can't think of very many in the last 10 years.
I just can't wait to see both Wasp in the Wasp costumes. Even if it's the old school one or modern version.
You may not actually see her until they may do flashbacks with her at the beginning of the movie, and you'll see her at the end. I am curious to see if she's going to be the same age or if they're going to make her young again, because she's basically stuck in a quantum state.
Yeah.
In which time may or may not pass, and so she may come out young, to the original Ant-Man's old man version.
True, because being that size, it reduces your aging speed, maybe.
Or like I said, she's stuck at the quantum level, which means she's just frozen in time potentially.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, let's see more comic book news. There's a rumor that Ben Affleck was being kicked off as the Batman, or the production or the studios were thinking of ways to get rid of him. At the Comic-Con, Ben Affleck's like, nope. As far as he knows, he's still hanging out, and though he'd be happy to stay as Batman for as long as they're willing to keep him.
Might not be directing, but
no, he chose not to direct though. I mean, that's different than not being Batman anymore.
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm sure he has contracts saying he's at least Batman for several movies. After that, though, they might go with somebody else. I mean, it's been done before. It's kind of the movie way of doing things. I mean, we have like 5 or 6 versions of Batman, so it's not unheard of to switch out the actors.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, I don't expect him to do anything crazy dramatic with the Batman role, but let's see what he got.
Yeah, let him actually be Batman for a while instead of just like cameos.
Okay. Next news. Oh my God! Looking at this poster, can you not hear the Thundercats theme song play in your head? That's what I posted.
Thundercats.
All he's missing is the nunchucks, man. He totally looks like Panthro.
Yep.
But footage from the upcoming Black Panther film was shown to the attendees at San Diego Comic-Con. The footage has not been released online yet.
Yes.
But IO9 posted the summary of what they saw in one of the scenes. There is a badass casino fight between T'Challa and the bodyguards and Claw and his henchmen as he tries to sell Morgan Freeman some vibranium. Then there's a scene where Black Panther chases down a car, and a few scenes where T'Challa is dressed in ritualized attire fighting Killmonger. And at the very end, there's a fight scene where Killmonger puts on a gold-tinged Panther suit, and he and Black Panther begin to fight. So this awesome.
I think they sort of spoiled most of the movie with this particular trailer. I'm like, okay, we kind of see where it begins, middles, and ends it at. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't see it personally because this reveals too much in my opinion. I'm more than happy to get it revealed to me when I watch the movie in next year in February the 16th. So there you go. But the one of the things I didn't note in the particular thing you read was that the claw in the footage reveals a new arm that has a laser weapon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so he gets his claw arm. Okay.
I just don't know if it's gonna look like at least anything like the comic/cartoon version, where it looks like a little satellite dish.
I'm assuming it's going to be Transformer arm, where it's like regular arm transforms into satellite dish laser arm. Yeah.
So I just can't wait.
Yeah. Also, we have some cool posters from the con that came out today, including the Ant-Man poster. It looks really cute and neat. There's also a new Thor Ragnarok one, which I unfortunately accidentally deleted. I guess you can see it on Edgar's actually, so it's not there on mine.
Let's see. So real quick, I'm gonna slowly scroll down. So here's that Ant-Man poster. So obviously you see how big he is. So I guess he goes Giant Man size again. And of course
versus Giant Man. So there you go.
In action. I don't know who they're kicking in the face, but it looks awesome. Anyways, and a bunch of soldiers. So if you read between the lines, you kind of tells you a little bit of storyline. And there's of course Ragnarok.
Yep.
Which is very awesome. They did show a second trailer on that.
Which we'll talk about in a bit. Yeah. But you can also see in this particular one, if you scroll down a little bit towards the bottom, you can see the other Thor, I forget his name now. The alien Thor.
He's in there. Where do you see?
Yeah, he's right there at the bottom.
The horse face guy.
Yeah, he's super tiny.
Which point?
Sure, hold on. Sorry, folks, we're watching live. Edgar can't see. Nope, and I did it back. That's right there.
No, because that's Hulk. That's the image of them when they fight.
I'm gonna go with no, because he looks like he's wearing the Thor outfit. So it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be Thor. I think it's going to be.
Did you not watch the trailer?
I saw the trailer.
He dons the helmet and he just tips the things so the wings pop up.
No. I think it's the other guy.
If he's there,
I mean that's why he's small, because this is the outfit he wears for most of the Thor Ragnarok, right?
Think about this. That's Hulk, right?
That's fine. I'm not saying it's not.
And is that not Hulk?
That's Hulk. That's fine. I'm just saying that I think that's the other one.
If he shows up, I don't see horse face.
That's why he's so small that you can't tell. But that's my hypothesis that it's the other guy.
The one that part out of all the weirdness happening in the movie poster is the random whale in the background.
Random whale, random, spaceships. But I think that's who that is.
Okay, now I'm drawing.
Because they had his hammer at the Guardian of the Galaxy ride, right?
Oh, okay.
I forget his name. I'm sorry, guys.
I'll think
but that's who I think
yeah.
it is. Yeah, I think because he in the comic and in the animated version of it, he shows up there. He is actually in the film. He's a part of World War Hulk.
Yeah.
Right. So it makes sense to me that he would at least make a cameo. Like, oh, he's already practiced on this Thor. Like maybe the two Thors later on work together to escape and they go their separate ways later. But
the main thing that Thor is in there is because the original World War Hulk and even in the animated version, originally it was supposed to be a savage Silver Surfer.
Yes.
So because of licensing issues.
Yes. Fox stuff.
With the other Thor.
But so it makes sense. Thor. So there is precedent for it though. So that's just my hypothesis. I may be wrong. I'll be happy to admit my mistake if he doesn't show up in the film. I'm hoping it's gonna be good anyways. But November looks good to me. So there you go. Okay, on to our... like I said, we talked about a few of the experiences at Comic-Con. There are some videos that we'll play. But they were really cool. Blade Runner 2049 had a full-on Comic-Con experience where people could actually go inside, almost inside the universe. There were a bunch of actors and actresses who would portray these...
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, that's what it is.
I literally had to write Horse Thor.
Horse Thor.
Ray Bill. Yeah, I knew it was something with the B. But anyways.
But there were definitely some cool features in these experiences. I thought, oh, that's unique to the con experience. Like, you can't get those other places. You're not going to get the same vibe from videos. And this is just one of the things. Like, you could walk in, essentially, to Blade Runner 2049, that world. You could buy some udon noodles. You could interact with the actors and actresses. And if they thought you were a replicant, they would rat you out, apparently. So I thought it was cool. So there you go.
Which is awesome. I love that kind of... I think it's pretty much like
it's a ride. It's like a pop-up ride. Yeah.
A temporary theme park, if you will. Yeah. That's what Comic-Con is, especially with all the exhibits and everything going on. One of the small little things that was, to me, I thought was pretty awesome was the Power Rangers where they actually you can yourself can be the Power Rangers morph. So you do the like Dragon Zord, blah blah blah, and they do the animation in the background, the whole green screen thingy. So you can have that little clip for yourself. You can post online and share with all your friends. Which that was awesome.
Yeah, and there's also one for Westworld, which I thought was also cool, and at the same time kind of creepy. In that you could walk into the beginning of the Westworld scene if you're a fan of that show, getting off of the train, figuring out your costumes, good bad guys, getting all that stuff. They have a bunch of props there and actors and actresses portraying, I don't want to say replicants again, but like androids or robots from that series as well. Also another experience thing you can only get at the con. I thought it was very cool. Like one of those things that like you see on television, like, oh, that's one of the things I wish I would have gone for.
Oh, totally.
I mean, you're spending $300 or $400, $500 for a ticket, if that's what you want to do.
Oh, yeah. If you want the experience, do it. Especially if you're a fan, why not? With me, I would love to be able to walk through, like, especially if it's the Marvel universe, love to walk through the Hall of Armor, which if they had a mock-up display for a while, I would love if, Marvel got the rights back, to walk through the X Mansion. I'd love to walk through the Danger Room, or even just stand. Which is
kind of what Disney's realizing, and that people want these experiences, which is why they're making Guardians of the Galaxy, the Ratatouille experience at Epcot Center, which we talked about last week, and also just a full-on Star Wars land.
Oh, totally.
Like they're planning an experiential hotel where you get your own storyline in the Star Wars universe when you check in. The entire experience is geared towards that world, and that your windows look out into Star Wars views instead of like regular park views. Everything in the hotel is authentically Star Wars. And you can just walk around just your hotels and get an experience there for it, in addition to walking out in the park, and everything feeling certainly authentic to that particular sci-fi universe.
Yeah, it's pretty much an extended version of those little mystery dinners that
kind
people would have, or those
actors and actresses who interact with you in the storylines. Yeah, very much so. And they'll give you you can. I'm sure they're more than willing to sell you clothes, so you can get full on, give you special props.
Down the dark.
Little handheld computers that give you RPG storylines or whatever. Give your kids costumes, whatever. That kind of stuff.
And like the equivalent of Clue, you find out who the murderer is or whatnot.
Lots of money making opportunities. Yeah. So there you go. So you pay for the experience. Okay, on to some of the great things about Comic-Con. The movie trailers that were shown.
So many.
There were literally 13, 16. I lost count. We have Justice League, Blade Runner 2049, Ready Player One, Thor Ragnarok, Stranger Things Season 2, The Defenders, Bright, Westworld Season 2, Inhumans, The Shape of the Water, The Kingsman, The Gold Circle, Gifted, Star Trek Troopers, Traders of Mars, Rocko's Modern Life, Static Cling, and I'm sure there were more. These are the ones that I was personally really enjoyed. So we'll start with the bottom. Some of the ones that you probably didn't notice from the internet. With Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh,
Static
my God.
Cling.
You were literally watching an episode.
Yeah.
You were literally watching a whole episode.
It's a modernized version where it's basically the same characters. Instead of being in the 90s, though, they're in 2017. It's super entertaining and funny.
And it adapted to it.
Yeah.
You think it was timeless because they're like pretty much the whole concept like, guys, I don't think we're in the 90s anymore.
It's still very much commentating on social trends and society. I'm like, that's...
You see the drones, you see the coffee shops, you see the iPhones, you see all that stuff, but still set in the animated world of Rocko's Modern Life.
Very much so. Also, Star Trek Troopers, Traders Mars, which is a much smaller film than like Thor Ragnarok, but it is also rated R as an animated CGI film. It is supposed to be the sequel to Star Trek Troopers, the movie, I guess, except that they have actual mech armor, body armor. So I'm hoping it's better than the original Star Trek Troopers movie, but it doesn't have the same voice actors from from the original film.
Cool.
Aliens, alien bugs versus mechanized humans. What else can you ask for?
Sounds like it would go straight to DVD and whatnot, but
it is in theaters for one day, and then straight to DVD
or stream. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The lead guy, I swear, I thought I was watching Metal Gear for a second because he had the
patch.
beardy goatee with the eye patch. I'm like, is Snake part of the Star Trek Trooper universe now? They must have worked something out. But anyways, it looks good. I'm gonna check it out. If it's something that's gonna pop on my Netflix, I'll throw it on.
Probably. Okay. Yeah. So now we get into the big ones. We have Gifted, with the Kingsman Circle, Shape of the Water, Inhumans, Westworld, Bright, like a lot more. Which ones would you like to talk about, sir? I'll give you the pick.
Should I save the best for last? I'll talk about these and save the best for last.
Well, pick one. Pick one
Okay.
that you want to talk about
Okay,
first.
the ones that are all these, of course, I love all the Marvel ones. Uh, Honestly, you talked about it before, and I didn't really know much about it. I saw Ready Player One.
Okay.
Well, it was whoa. It was like, wow, there's a lot going on.
Oh no, yeah, I've mentioned it to you before, in
Yeah.
that it's very pop culture-y, and that's part of the draw of the trailer. And I think it's hard for people to understand what that means, because it's also virtual reality related,
Yeah.
which is trendy now, but it wasn't when it was written. Like the Oculus thing didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it was very much slightly ahead of the curve in that respect.
Oh yeah, totally.
And the fact that it plays out modern day, like, oh, virtual reality is kind of a thing, that only emphasizes what can be in the future. And I'm super happy that Steven Spielberg was attached to it.
Which I was surprised. I was like, not that he shouldn't be making movies anymore, but he's doing it well.
No, this is absolute. I mean, it's very CGI heavy, which is the only way you can do this kind of online experience. But there's just so many reference. Even just in this trailer, there's a ton of things that you may or may not have seen that are amazing. I mean, you see the 18 band, you see Freddy Krueger, you see Jason, you see mechanized robots, you see Akira's light cycle, you see.
Almost like an old '80s movie where you see all the toys around.
Yeah, you get to see
room.
the DeLorean inside this trailer, and there's a bunch of other things there that are just like, if you've read the book or if you listen to the audiobook, you kind of know what to expect. But because of licensing issues, the movie has to be different.
Oh yeah. With today's time, it's all about licensing.
Well, it's because the book references everything and everybody without consideration for licensing. It's a fictional book. He can pull whatever he wants to. Music, television, movies, whatever. It's referential, it's satire, public use domain, whatever you want to call it. But for actual film, there has to be some negotiation between these companies, and they're not always going to get what they want, or get the same things that are in the novel. So I'm curious to see who gave what up. I mean, you got Freddy Krueger. That was definitely not in the novel.
Yeah.
But it makes sense in this world. And so if you've seen this trailer, you know that it's pretty badass. And I definitely be looking forward to watching it myself.
So much happening in it. Like, you see the enormous amount of CG, but it's so well done. You know, it's not. It honestly, watching it, it gave me a feel of an '80s movie just because of all the.
That's what it's supposed
randomness
to
on
be.
it.
Yeah.
But it was done so well.
It's like 80s. It's an 80s nostalgia movie. That's kind of what its appeal is. Like, if you grew up in the 80s, like we did, then you're gonna love all these references. Like, oh, I remember watching that movie, or I remember playing with those toys.
Oh yeah.
That's a big part of its draw, in addition to the virtual reality tech stuff.
I like seeing it, the whole, you know, as junky as you are with your stacked up trailers and whatnot, everybody still needs electricity. Everybody still needs to plug in and be entertained.
Yeah, and essentially part of the world is that the Oasis is where everybody goes, because the real world just sucks. Like, the economy's down, people are living in stacked trailers. I mean, that's a majority of America. There's still rich people, of course, but people make their money inside of this virtual reality universe, where they're or just everything.
It's their escape.
So that's supposed to be a birthday party scene for one of the founders of the game.
Yeah. So there's Iron Giant.
Yeah, exactly. Not in the. I don't believe he was in the original book, but it makes sense within this universe.
Oh yeah. So honestly, just for the pop culture, I just want to check it out. But everything else is a plus.
Yeah, you see Duke Nukem there. You see there's Freddy Krueger. You see the Terminator.
Just so much, much. So that's why I'm going with a Ready Player One that really got my attention. Other than, what about you? Anything grab your eye?
Ready Player One is definitely the one that I enjoyed the most, just because it does also relate to the other podcast that I do on Lit RPG, that takes video game stuff and makes stories out of them. But they're also, like, the mechanics of the game world are obviously stated, and they're a part of the storyline. They're not just hidden away in the background. They're actually important, and they're revealed both through characters and to the reader, and so that's part of the fun of it. And this is definitely part of that world.
Now, the one, honestly, that I kind of had better expectations for was the Justice League. Justice League trailer was okay. It was all right. Nothing blew my mind like, oh my god, there's this and there's
Well, you got to see. I mean, you
just saw more of the character.
Yes, you get. I was more excited to see the villains in that movie than I was for the heroes, because I've seen the heroes. I mean, you've seen enough in the trailers.
Yeah, like you saw Steppenwolf, which was a given. But I thought the whole concept was, unless they're going for a third film or connecting whatever, I was expecting Dark
Dark
Side.
Side.
Yeah,
I think he might show up at the end
maybe it's
because
not that
I think it's implied that he might be coming. He may be the surprise villain in this movie.
Yeah, because
Steppenwolf is just leading the initial landing
semi
of
mini
everybody.
boss before the main one.
Yeah, and then all the other guys show up. You know, all the other dark side villains, and then they have to come together, and that's when Superman shows up or something.
Exactly.
Which is what's kind of implied at the end.
Yeah.
It's either Superman or Green Lantern. I think it's Superman just because of licensing issues.
Yeah, yeah, because I would love to see.
But good trailer.
Yeah, I don't know. I just expected more out of it. But
anything else that you thought was cool?
Stranger Things was kind of cool. If you saw the trailer, it was very much a kind of Michael Jackson music video because they did use some Michael Jackson soundtrack.
They used a Thriller.
It was done real well. Defenders, I liked it. It was kind of like almost like a homage with Stan talking about getting everybody.
No,
together.
this is a different trailer for Defenders. This is not the Stanley teaser. This is Ripley. I forgot her name. Sigourney Weaver is narrating it, and she's almost talking to the Defenders, saying that we're not really that different. We're both willing to destroy the city for it. It's just that I'm willing to destroy it permanently. You want to defend it, and so it's going to be a much bigger epic battle, and you get to see a little bit of the banter between characters in the Defenders trailer. It's still entertaining, but again, not as good as some of the things. But it's a Netflix show.
Now the one that went kind of obscure being Netflix related is Bright with the Will
Oh
Smith.
yeah, this is definitely the one that
Orc Cops,
because they teased it before. But this is a full-on trailer, and it is surprising. And it's not just Orc Cops. It's supposed to be, I think, portal fiction, where there was a portal to like some fantasy alternate parallel universe, whatever.
Yeah.
And they spilled into our world, or maybe they immigrated. And you see elves, you see orcs. I'm sure they're gonna have magic
in the ghetto.
In regular modern life, and you see a pixie, which is not the cute kind of pixie.
Yeah, flying into the little bug zapper, but all this in anybody's like neighborhood. Like I don't want to call it every other ghetto neighborhood, but you see mythical creatures in your backyard, front yard, your neighborhood. Those are your people that you work with, grow up with, and all that, and it's just normal. It's not one of those like.
No, this is supposed to be normalized fantasy. This is urban fantasy.
Exactly.
And I think this is a very well done version of it, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is normalized. It's not, look at the sparkly vampire kind of urban fantasy, which I like. Because
so far, other than
because it's an enhancement to an otherwise normal kind of cop film with magic and stuff.
Yeah, I want to see what the magic part is, because so far everything seems pretty modern, other than having a.
At the end, there's the magic wand that's supposed to be like a wish factory, basically, and it's rare and super fancy. And the elves want to keep it because it gives them more magical control power. I think, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the elves have kind of a monopoly on magic, which is why they're rich, in this particular trailer. And the other factions like orcs, goblins, whatever, they're kind of the trash of the fantasy worlds, and they are so here as well, and that they live in the poorer recesses of the world, lower and middle class.
Yeah. Well, they got Will Smith, so they're expecting some high expectations out of this thing.
Yeah, and of course everybody wants the wand because they can give them the power that they want to grant their wish or whatever.
Now, what is The Shape of Water? That one I did not watch or even heard of anything.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. It's from Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay.
It is another like fantasy creature movie.
Like Pan's Labyrinth-ish?
It's not dark. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be dark, but it's basically 1940s or whatever, 50s. Scientists for the government have a creature from the Black Lagoonish kind of creature who's remember Sapien from the Hellboy series. It's kind of that guy.
Oh, okay.
And this may actually be like a prequel to Hellboy in that's how they get him. You know what I mean? I mean, hypothetically, it could be. But it's set in the 40s, 50s, and a worker woman there who is deaf, or who's mute, rather, can't speak. She uses sign language, but she's also working as a janitor. But she's also working for this secret project because she can't talk about it, apparently, according to the bigwig guys. But she kind of connects to this water creature, and because I think it's hinted at, she has some water powers. So she herself is special in a very minor way. But this water creature, she feels connected because neither one of them can speak. And it's one of those things. And I'm not sure if it's into a love story or into this strange mutant horror story. At the end, maybe he'll eat her and kill her. I don't know. But it is very Guillermo del Toro, and that it's thematic, and there's lots of special effects that are cool. But they enhance the story. They don't take away from it.
It totally feels like a Hellboy prequel for sure. The Sapien, if you will.
Yeah.
For a second, like the way I was just watching it right now, I thought, is this like a BioShock movie? Because it almost had the feel
like
of it.
the industrial kind of vibe to it. Yeah.
But it looks good.
I can see that.
I would definitely check that out. I would definitely check that out for sure. So, anything else for you, sir, before I blow up?
I like the Crimson Circle, the Golden Circle, Americans inside of that action universe. That was cool. Mm-hmm. But my favorite was if I'm picking from that for the trailers of the week, my winner is definitely Ready Player One, hands down. Okay. So for you, what was it?
I actually would probably go with Ready Player One.
There you go. It's very new. This is the first trailer that we've seen from them, so of course it's going to be blow up and big. But I think Thor Ragnarok was definitely close second.
Oh yeah. So the biggest news that my version for the people that did get to see it, even though it wasn't the greatest of quality, was pretty much the...
You mean Infinity Wars, right?
Infinity War trailer got leaked. It was the same trailer that it showed at the D23 Expo, but Disney's very tight on security, so they didn't really get to show so much of anything on there. But for the people that did get to see it, oh my god, it was like a big, massive orgy of just ejaculated fluids everywhere, because everyone's like, oh! Everybody got pregnant.
Yeah, people described it at the D23 one, but I guess they showed it here as well, and it leaked. And it was as awesome as people were hoping it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. It was so amazing. Honestly, I would have just died if they brought in the X-Men, because it was like one character after another character after another character. But right now we're just watching Ragnarok, which was still good. It was really good. It was more, you actually get to see Mr. Bruce Banner in the human form.
Yep. You get to see talking Hulk.
And exactly. Yeah. More of a civilized, but like, hey.
Which does make sense when in the Hulk World of War Hulk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so it's good. I forgot the name of the villain. I think his name's like Battle Axe or Black Axe or something. And is the chick with the weird like helmet hair antler thing, is that the Enchantress?
No, that is the goddess of death.
Okay, I was wondering because I know it was Enchantress and Black Axe were like,
I think they're secondary villains. Yeah. They're mini bosses.
Yeah. But oh my god, it was so good.
Yep.
And this
trailer right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just weird seeing them though with like blasting weapons instead of guns,
which is very much more of a larger sci-fi universe.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But it's gonna be so good. I want to see the whole story and history with the whole hammer being crushed. It's just gonna be so good, so good, so good. I can't wait. And that's coming out in November, so we don't got that long to wait for it. Oh yeah, that scene. I was like, oh, so you're the god of what?
Yeah.
And looking at the trailer, it feels like an 80s music video in a way. It does, yeah. The graphic and everything.
The color palette, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost taking a little bit of a sign from the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of deal. Especially with all the funky CG-ness. But, yeah. Infinity War, man. That was just so much awesome going on with it. I'm hoping the way they done it before, like Marvel / Disney, are like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put it out. Everybody knows about it. It's been around.
I don't doubt at some point they will. I don't think it's going to be this soon, mostly because Disney said no. Disney's so tight-lipped about it. I think maybe I forget. It comes out next year, I think, right?
Yeah, if I'm right, it was May.
2019. So I think they're going to show it with the Star Wars stuff then. I think that makes sense.
That's for at least the teaser part on it. But
or maybe at the end of Thor Ragnarok, of course. I think that was always the rumor that they're going to show the Infinity Wars trailer with Thor Ragnarok, which was also makes sense.
Guys. If you guys, oh my gosh, you're going to be just...
Yeah, there's so many great trailers. Go watch them. We had to turn the sound off because otherwise our videos get tagged with copyright stuff. Sorry.
No worries.
But definitely go check it out. All the links are in the show notes for everything.
My thing is, like, when I go watch the movie, nobody better be talking. I don't care if you're a full-grown adult, woman, child, whatever. You talk, you're going to get smacked in the mouth. It's just one of those, like, don't you ruin this for me.
Yeah. No, there's a slate of great films coming up, so looking forward to them.
And
I don't know the Valerian's going to be one of them, which is out now.
Sadly.
I mean, visually, very pretty.
Good.
Looks very pretty. I'm hesitant to jump into it as like, oh, the movie I want to see this weekend because
overshadowed by Comic-Con.
It's also when you have that much press for a movie and you're putting that much emphasis in getting ads out, like that seems like a red flag to me. Like a great film, like Thor Ragnarok has had 2 trailers.
Yes.
And you see very little like ads on TV or on Hulu or Netflix or whatever it is. And that to me says, oh, this movie, it already has its audience and people are going to watch it regardless. Valerian, maybe because it's less known. Maybe that's why they feel they have to do it, but it also screams out to me, this plot might suck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if it gets reviews this weekend, I'll go watch it next weekend. I have no issue with that. But I'm just hesitant on it. So.
And of course, today is the last day of Comic-Con, so it's more of the wrap up. Who knows what any kind of last minute.
This is the day people buy stuff at all the tables and stores,
stop shops and whatnots. The last day to party hard in San Diego in the almighty Wells Vagina. So next podcast we'll finalize what actually happened.
And I doubt there are going to be like really any major announcements. That's usually Friday, Saturday stuff. Sunday's really kickback for everybody. There's still panels and everything, something might come out. Yeah. But definitely it's less likely. It's more like, everyday chills. I think Kevin Smith is having a panel or something there.
Oh, you can't go better than the last.
And so we'll hear it at some point.
Where Star Wars, took pretty much his whole audience away.
Yes, I think he's shifted to a Sunday panel because of it, but it is what it is. So there you go. Thanks everybody for listening and watching the show. We had a great time talking to you and geeking out about all this great stuff. Thanks everybody who showed up for the live Facebook stream of it. Thanks very much for all the questions and comments. It always makes the show more entertaining for everybody.
If anybody gets those San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, mind sending a couple this way?
Yeah, no. I'll bring back some Dragon Con stuff when it happens. I'll be going to Dragon Con in August in Atlanta, Georgia, for like the entire trip. It's like my, a thing to spend author money on, basically.
My thing is with depending on scheduling, and of course if I'm not too exhausted and tired, I really want to go just to any con that's local, even to go my
Stanley's Con, the Los Angeles Comic Con is I think an October event. So it's definitely something you could go to. Hang out again at maybe spend the weekend there instead of like the day or something.
I'm kind of been doing my anniversary thing around that time.
But it's definitely harder for you because you work the night shift.
Yeah, so we'll see how it's gonna work out.
It's
eventually.
Like asking for time off.
Oh yeah, I have to, even though I'm semi-workaholic. Like I work hard, but I also like to rest hard, and do absolutely nothing.
I like to work hard and nap hard.
Exactly.
There you go. Okay, but again, thank you for watching, listening. If you want to help the podcast any way, shape, or form, because this comes out of our pockets. If you want to help support us, you can find out all the ways to do so at
geekbytespodcast.com/support.
Yep, there you go, folks. Thanks for listening and watching. And for Geek Bytes Podcast, I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, to go geek out about something.